nothing but a lie. Religion's pushing Esau's agenda on the true Israelite. Let me make it crystal clear. I'm here to serve you how a child, and nothing's gonna change that until we meet him in the sky. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up. Is it just your emotion that you're feeling on the inside? Or maybe it's conviction, since you learned the truth about the Most High. Or you could just be fearful of the carnal things you lose in this life. Or still a stiff-necked people getting by on Edom's line. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up, Israel. Rise up. Rise up, Israel.
Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kwadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakotka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazar, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Latonlanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalachnawa, Chaubwathnawa, Kasalachnawa, Chaubwathyanawa, Wala'a, Tabia Anawa, Manasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'atapa Arath, La'ai Walamyam, Aman. Ya Baraka, Ya Baraka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Waya Shamaka, Waya Shamaka, Yahweh, 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 Panyawa Al Yaka, Panyawa Al Yaka, Waya Khanka, Waya Khanka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yasha'a Yahweh, Yasha'a Yahweh, Panyawa Al Yaka, Panyawa Al Yaka, Wayasham, Wayasham, Laka Shalom, Laka Shalom, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Shah, Barak Rapah, Barak Rapah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Shah, Barak Rapah, Barak Rapah, Yasha Allah, Yasha Allah.
Alrighty then. Shalom, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to another Saturday morning class in the Lines of Israel. It's your brother Priest Daniela, representing Lines of Israel and Maccabees TV. And as always, I'm joined by the Elder Zahab. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, the supreme intellect of the universe. And I do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Mashiach Yahushai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. I want to say peace and blessings to everybody that's listening, that's watching. This morning, we do definitely appreciate you guys coming first thing in the morning and spending time listening to our classes. And as always, I pray that the classes are edifying. I want to shout out everyone that's watching us on our YouTube platforms, Maccabees TV and Lines of Israel class. As always, make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel and hit the notification button so you guys can be notified every time that we go live. And as always, shout out to my Clubhouse family as well. The link to today's lesson is at the top of the room. Now, I do want to share something really, really important today in the second half of the class, going towards the end. It all depends on how quickly I get through today's main lesson. And then there's a little side lesson that I kind of want to just show you guys a little information about. It's something that we as Israelites are always attacked about, and that is DNA tests. You know, it's one of the first things that people say to you. Well, if you're an Israelite, prove it and take a DNA test. So we're going to talk about that today. You know, we don't run from things, we run to them. So we're going to talk about it in the second half of today's class briefly, not exhaustively, briefly. So for you guys on Clubhouse, you definitely going to want to come over to YouTube towards the end of the first lesson so you guys can actually see those slides. Those slides are very important, and you may learn something the next time somebody tries to run that game on you, right? But if we're not there yet, we're going to deal with today's first lesson first. So again, the link is at the top of the room. Before I get started with today's lesson, I'll open the floor if Elder Zahab has anything he wants to say. The floor is his.
Hey, Shalom, King. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, all praise to the Most High, man. No, I don't have anything. Let's go straight to
it. All right. Okay, all praise to the Most High. So let me share my screen. I'm going to take the banner off so you guys can see everything. I don't, especially the second lesson, I want you guys to be able to see everything on the screen. And I'm going to take myself and Elder Zahab out of the screen so you guys can't see us. And, oops, oh, hold on now. I almost pressed the wrong thing here and ended the whole live. That would have been crazy. All right, so let's share the screen and get started with today's lesson. So I entitled today's lesson, "The Truth Shall Make You Free," but I'm not coming at it from the perspective that we normally do. The truth about our enemies and who they are, how they operate, and what they think about us has freed our minds. You know, unfortunately for many of our people seek approval from these other nations, specifically Esau. They seek their approval. They want to be liked. They want to be accepted. You know, they have a FOMO, which is a fear of missing out, right? So they want to be accepted by these other nations, specifically Esau. And then one day, I mean, many of us actually, to be honest, I'll even put myself in there. When I was younger, before, many of us also felt the same way. We wanted that same approval, right? And we weren't necessarily looking for the truth per se. We wanted to know things, but we weren't necessarily looking for this truth. Let me word it like that, right? We were looking for the truth, but not this truth. But the Most High in his infinite wisdom caused us to come across this truth. And part of this truth is recognizing who your enemies are, how they operate, what they think about you, and what's going to happen to them as a result of all the aforementioned things, their future. That makes you free. Because once you understand these things, you no longer seek their approval. You're free from that. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a weight lifted off your shoulders. Let's start off in the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 6 through 12. It says, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Because when Yahushua was on the scene, and then the apostle Paul comes on the scene later, there were certain things that they told the apostles that they would see. And in due time, it would be revealed who the mystery of iniquity is, who the man of sin is. And in our day and time, now we are free because we understand and can see clearly who the man of sin is and who the mystery of iniquity is. Verse 7, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work, meaning that during Paul's time, the Roman Empire was ruling and they were going into wickedness, but they weren't in the fullness of their wickedness. Now, in this day and time, Esau is in the fullness of his wickedness. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, because the Most High is allowing Esau to rule this earth for a certain amount of time, so that when their judgment comes, they can be ripe for judgment. He's allowing them to go and be as wicked as they want to be, so that they can be ripe for judgment when the time comes, until he be taken out of the way. Verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. That's us. Now that Esau has been revealed, the Lord is consuming Esau through the spirit of his mouth, meaning his word being taught. You have more and more of our people that are waking up every single day, leaving the church system, stop celebrating Christmas, stop celebrating Easter, so forth and so on. Our people are waking up by the millions and opting out of this system and seeing the system for exactly what it is. And they're able to do that because the Most High set up teachers. The Most High is not coming off his throne to have a conversation with anybody. Yahushua is in the heavens, not having a conversation with anyone. So how is the mystery of iniquity being revealed? How are they being consumed? It's through the teachers, right? Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. That's when Yahushua comes, and that's the final end to everything, right? Verse 9, even him whose comings is after the workings of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. That's Esau. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. A lot of our people do not love the truth because, again, they have a fear of missing out and they want to be accepted. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. That's the other nations, and the ones of our people that join themselves to these other nations, they're all damned, according to the scriptures. They don't believe the truth. Not because the truth is not believable. A lot of our people don't believe the truth because the truth would require them to change. A lot of our people don't believe the truth because the truth would require you to understand who your enemies are. And a lot of our people would rather have their head in the sand than to acknowledge and understand these things, right? 1 second, y'all. My apologies. All right. All right, let's go to the next slide. We're going to be reading out the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 today. This is where we're going to anchor ourselves. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. It says, for the ungodly said, and this is part of us waking up and realizing the wicked for who they are. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. This is before Yahushua, of course, right? Verse 2. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our hearts. So this is the wicked saying this to themselves, because basically, for lack of a better term, life is short. You only live once, YOLO. This is the wicked reasoning with themselves. Reading on, verse 3. Which being extinguished, our bodies shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air, and our name shall be forgotten in time. And no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh. So from verse number 1 to verse number 5, this is the wicked reasoning with themselves that life is short. So you know what people say when they say life is short, right? You take risks. You do it. You take adventures. You do different things. You're spontaneous. You do these things because life is short, right? Verse number 6. Because life is short, this is what the wicked said. This is what Esau says. Come on, therefore, and let us enjoy the good things in the present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. So when they say they're going to enjoy themselves, the good things of themselves, you know how Esau enjoys himself? By destroying everybody else. That's how they destroy themselves. They enjoy themselves by destroying everybody else. That's why their blessing was the sword. And with the sword, they would get all control of all the earth, and they would enjoy themselves at the expense of everybody else. And the reason why they do this is because they feel like life is short. Why not? That's the mindset of Esau. That's the mindset of a devil, right? Let's read on. Verse 8. It says, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Now, what does it mean when you crown yourself with rosebuds? What is a floral crown? Let's look into that. It's a symbol of status for those that don't know. Let's watch this video real quick.
Did you know that wearing a crown of flowers was once a powerful symbol of honor and achievement? In ancient Greece and Rome, floral wreaths weren't just pretty accessories. They carried deep meaning and were a mark of distinction.
So this is a mark of distinction, a mark of status, right? Esau being on top, right?
Victors in athletic contests, including the legendary Olympic Games, were awarded olive or laurel wreaths to celebrate their triumph, symbolizing not only victory, but also wisdom, courage, and virtue. These crowns were carefully handcrafted using plants chosen for their symbolic value. Laurel for glory and success, olive for peace and harmony, and myrtle for love and beauty. Beyond athletes, philosophers, poets, and honored guests wore floral crowns during grand gatherings and feasts, signaling their esteemed status.
So these feasts, different things, you wear the floral crown, it's a status or symbol of enjoying yourself. This is a metaphor. So Esau enjoys himself by destroying everybody else. When it says, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds, meaning they're going to enjoy themselves at the expense of everybody else. Second half of the verse, before they be withered, because Esau understands that at some point it's going to be over for him. Because life is short. That's how he reasoned himself in the first 5 verses. Life is short. So we're going to enjoy ourselves at the expense of everybody else, and we're going to live it up because our time is limited. And they know that. How do they know that? Because the Most High preserved it in his word, number 1. And number 2, because the Most High sent forth teachers that go on the highways and the byways and remind them your time is short. We remind our people that their time is short as well, which is why our people should repent. That's the idea. Moving on.
Did you know that?
So this is a guy by the name of Sir John Glubb, and he wrote something called Fate of Empires. He wrote something called Fate of Empires, right? Fate of Empires goes into the different stages of a kingdom, right? The 2 last stages of any great kingdom is a golden age and then an age of decadence. Those are the 2 last stages of any and every great kingdom. There is a golden age and there is an age of decadence. I want to focus on the age of decadence. The age of decadence symbolizes a period of decline. That's what we're in right now. The golden age of America would be like the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s even. That's when America was at its apex. But from the 70s on, you begin to start seeing the decline of the American kingdom. the decline of the American power. They're not as feared as they used to be. That's why recently we all saw that the Americans were talking about trying to usher in or trying to broker a peace deal with Iran. What did Iran say? No, it's too late for peace now. We want war. That's a period of decline. It wasn't always so. Now you have BRICS, where you have these different countries that are moving away from the American monetary standard, the dollar. They're moving away from it. That's a symbol of decline. Does everybody understand? So we are in the age of decadence. We're no longer in the age of America being a top kingdom, and Esau know it. They know that the rosebuds are about to be withered. They know that. Let's watch this video real quick.
In 1976, a British general discovered something disturbing. Sir John Glubb studied empires across 3,000 years of history. And he found that almost every major empire lasted roughly 250 years, and then it collapsed. The Assyrians, 247 years. The Persians, 208 years. The Greeks, 231 years. The Ottomans, 250 years. The British, 250 years. America is right within that range.
America is right within that range. So we are in the age of decadence now, the decline, and we're watching it. We got front row seats to watch it.
Glubb found that every empire moved through the same 7 stages in the same order. Empires start with the Age of Pioneers, conquest and expansion. Everyone builds together, and this was America from 1776 to 1815. Then the Age of Conquest, military dominance, territory expansions. This is America in the 1800s to the early 1900s. Then the Age of Commerce, trade and industry boom, and this was America from 1890s to about 1945. Then the empire peaks, called the Age of Affluence, wealth, prosperity, America from 1945 to the 70s, the Golden Age. Then it starts to decline with the Age of Intellect. Universities expand, innovation accelerates. That's America from the 80s to about 2000s. And then finally, the Age of Decadence, obsession with entertainment, wealth gaps widen, political polarization explodes, and trust collapses. America's national debt is $36 trillion. Trust to government is at 22%. The population is split into 2 hostile camps. The U.S. is at stage 6, deeply in stage 6. Final stage, collapse, is close. Glubb's pattern says...
So, stages 1 through 6, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds. Metaphorically, that's their prosperity. From the Age of Pioneers all the way up to the Golden Age, right? And the last stage, stage 7, is when the rosebuds wither. That's the time that we're in now. Let's go back just a little bit.
The population is split into 2 hostile camps. The U.S. is at stage 6, deeply in stage 6. Final stage, collapse, is close. Glubb's pattern says stage 6 doesn't last long. Rome took 30 years from stage 6 to collapse. Britain took 40 years. If America entered stage 6 around the year 2000, it's 24 years in. Can America break the pattern that pretty much every other empire has followed? You need to understand this. I have a full breakdown at culturalperspective.com today.
All right. Let's move on. Verse 9. It says, let's none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place. For this is our portion, and our lot is this. So when it says they wanted to leave tokens of their joyfulness in every place, how did Esau do that? Well, what are tokens? So I went to a thesaurus and I looked up synonyms for tokens. Remember, the wicked, the ungodly, are leaving tokens of their joyfulness, the fun that they had at our expense. Remember that, the fun that they had at our expense, they've left that in every place. What are tokens or synonyms for tokens? Souvenirs, symbols, memorials, marks, signs, trophies. What are some modern examples of this? Well, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, You have many, many statues of Christopher Columbus all throughout the Caribbean, the very place that he conquered, and left tokens of his joyfulness everywhere he went. It says several Columbus statues exist in the Caribbean, though many face controversy due to his role in slavery and colonialism. So again, they were joyful at our expense. That's why I keep repeating that. Let's come down here. These statues have become targets of protests in recent years. This is the age of decadence, the decline, because now people have woken up through technology. People have much more access to information. People have realized that what we were taught in school about Columbus sailing the 7 seas and came on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria to America, and the Native Americans sold them beads and, you know what I'm saying, all this other garbage you learn is garbage. Because now we have access to Columbus's diaries that he wrote himself. And in the diaries, he lets you know he was putting the Indians in slavery. So now we're in the age of decline because there's a polarization going on. People have woken up to who the wicked is. That wicked has been revealed. And that's why the society is starting to go down the toilet, circle the toilet. America is more divided than it's ever been. Politically divided, economically divided between the haves and the have-nots, right? Racially divided, we all see it. And divided by gender too. We're watching the end. We got front row seats to it. And because it's so divided, we should understand that that's the decline of a kingdom. So we as Israelites, when we wake up, we should not be divided. But we are. There's like 500 million, 11,000 camps, right? And then even amongst camps amongst themselves, there's friction and division within camps and bodies over stupid stuff. Anyway, it says these statues have become targets of protest in recent years, with critics highlighting the genocide and oppression of indigenous Taino peoples. The removal of the Port of Spain statue was done to prevent further vandalism and to address the germs of rot associated with colonial symbols, replacing them with local heroes. So people, once they woke up to who Columbus was, because we have access to information in the age of decadence, right? We began to find out who Columbus really was, and it was contrary to what we learned in school. So people were going up to these statues and vandalizing them. Like, this guy is not a hero, he's a devil. The wicked has been revealed. He's a devil. He committed genocide. Let's go to the next slide. Here's an example of the tokens of their joyfulness, but now those tokens are being removed. This is in the Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad and Tobago, there's a statue of Columbus. Let's watch this video real quick.
The removal of the Christopher Columbus statue follows years of public debate and calls from civil society groups citing his legacy of violence against indigenous peoples.
Now, I want to see if who's paying attention. So above, you have the brother that's removing the Columbus statue. I want to see who's paying attention. I'll go even further. I'm going to do just a little bit of audience participation, although I'm not going to look. The brothers and sisters that went to New York with me the other day, when we went to Rockefeller Center, do you guys remember the conversation that we were having as we were looking at everything that was in Rockefeller Center? Do y'all remember what we were talking about? Now, remember in that conversation, I want you guys to look at the image on the screen and y'all tell me what y'all see. Somebody put it in the chat. Even if you wasn't with me, you should see it. But the ones of you that was with me in Rockefeller Center, you guys know exactly what we were talking about. And I'm not going to prolong the class. You guys can see that they're moving the Columbus statue because he was a demon. Put this pillar right here, this Roman pillar, this is a demon right here. This should be removed as well. That should be removed as well. They're removing one demon but leaving the other one, but that's a whole nother class. Let's keep going.
According to Port of Spain Mayor Chinua Ali, the decision was made in consultation with various stakeholders, including representatives of the First Peoples and the Emancipation Support Committee, marking a monumental shift both literally and spiritually. The Grand Chief of the First Peoples of Trinidad and Tobago, Eric Lewis, visited the site for a cleansing ceremony.
today we are here to celebrate the removal of this atrocity of the criminal, of the invader, Columbus, which served previously as a symbol of dominance over the indigenous people, over all of the other cultures that would have come after. And it also served as a monumental, so we are here today to celebrate that, and we're also here today to do a smoke ceremony that is going to cleanse this space and remove the impurities that was here.
A smoke ceremony, which is wickedness and pagan, we all know that, with a daggone gargoyle right here. Anyway.
Under an executive director of the Freedom Project Caribbean, Shabaka Cambon, one of the advocates for the removal of the statue, remembers the long fight.
And we started the
By the way, I want you guys to know something, because I didn't put it in this PowerPoint. I forgot. It just occurred to me. They're removing the statue, not destroying it. Guess where the statue is going? It's going from this square in the park to the National Museum. So they're not really getting rid of it. They're just keeping it in a place where people can't vandalize it anymore. That's the idea. You guys see all the paint and everything right here? People were vandalizing it. They're not removing it because they have a change of heart and they feel bad. And yes, Columbus was evil. This is what people are saying up front. But if you felt that way, why are you removing it from the square and putting it in a museum? Make that make sense. Anyway, let's continue.
Project with the idea that we would wake up people's memory in this country in such a way that they wouldn't just want to contemplate history, but to make it. And so, we're still looking forward to see, all the different possibilities that could come out of this historic change.
He says it's now more than a local story, as he has already written to the Bahamas Prime Minister to tear down the statues.
Notice how they're taking care of it, because they know they can't. They have to take very good care of it because they know it's going someplace. By the way, if you guys could see, if you're looking at a phone, maybe it might be a little small. You guys can see that that's paint on his face because the people were vandalizing it. That's really why it's being moved. I just want y'all to know that.
Yeah.
As we became independent, we should clinically detect these germs of rot and remove them not just from our lands, but from our minds as well.
The call is clear. Replace symbols of conquest with monuments to resistance. Names like Chief Hyarima and Chief Balkana have already been suggested as replacement monuments.
All right, so that's what the scriptures are talking about, the ungodly leaving tokens of their joyfulness in every place. They went and conquered these people and then put a statue of the person that committed genocide on the island where the people are. It's crazy. Excuse me. Next up, Nutley, New Jersey versus Newark, New Jersey, right? This is here in the United States. This is in New Jersey. We just had Passover in New Jersey. Where? In Newark. We just had Passover in Newark, New Jersey the other day. Some of you guys don't know there was a statue of Columbus in Newark, New Jersey. It literally was right across the street from where I work. I used to see it every day before it was removed.
To the protests in New Jersey right now. They're happening amid heated debates around.
So there's a protest going on. Let me just prepare you guys for what you're going to see. There's a protest going on. This is the age of decadence. Remember, decadence, part of decadence and decline is polarization, people fighting against each other. So you're going to have two groups out there fighting each other, not literally fighting each other, but opposing each other. You have the Italians that want the Statue of Columbus to stay. For those that don't know, Columbus was Italian. He wasn't Spanish. But he went to the Queen and King of Spain to be able to be financed for his voyages, but he was not actually Spanish. He was Italian, just so y'all know. So you have the Italians out there that want the statue to stay. They don't give a goodness gracious that Columbus committed genocide. They don't care. They want it to stay. And then you have the black folks out there that want it to go. Okay, that's what you guys are going to see. This is part of the age of decadence. These tokens that they left behind are now causing controversy.
the country dealing with Christopher Columbus statues.
A Black Lives Matter march in Nutley is ending at Town Hall where a Columbus statue stands. Jessica Layton joins us live from Nutley. Jessica.
And it's all unfolding right now, Dick and Jessica. What we have is a Black Lives Matter protest, which seems to have been met by a counter-protest here in the center of Nutley. You've got one large group yelling Black Lives Matter, the other group standing very close to them, in their faces saying All Lives Matter. I will step out so you can see the groups coming together, divided by a line of Nutley police officers wearing masks and...
For those that don't recognize, that's the Italian flag. Let's go back a little bit. He has two flags on his pole. One side is the Italian flag. The other side is the American flag. Let's watch.
So you can see the groups coming together.
Boom. Dang, 1 second. Y'all can see it right there. On the other side, it's very hard. I tried to freeze it as best I could. On the other side, that's the American flag with the Italian flag. Okay, anyway.
Divided by a line of Nutley police officers wearing masks and vests. Now, this started with about 100 people circling the Christopher Columbus statue at the center of town, saying they are defenders of the statue.
Remember, this is them leaving tokens of their joyfulness in every place, and also us looking at the timeline of the decline of a kingdom, and this is the decadence that it's talking about, the decline. Everybody's divided against each other.
Of their heritage, they started gathering after hearing several dozen people from the group Nutley for Black Lives would be marching down to this area. And that group started gathering about a mile away. They say they're fed up by the injustices people of color are subjected to, not only in large cities, but in smaller places like here in Nutley, New Jersey. But they say they're doing this all in peace. And in fact, they say the reason they came here in the first place doesn't have anything to do with that statue at all.
We're ending at Town Hall because that is the center of our governing bodies. That is where our police station is and our town hall is. So that is the only reason why. We do support the legal removal of the statue. Someone else that is not a part of our group has made a petition for it, and we do support it. But that was not the reason we are protesting today.
To protect our history.
It's not, and I want to stop there. Let's go back just a little bit. Let's listen to that again. I want you to listen to what he just said.
Protesting today.
To protect our history.
So I want to be clear. Columbus is not our history. He has a Make America Great hat on, right? Columbus is not our history. Christopher Columbus never made it to the shores of what's today's called North America. He never made it here. So how is it our history? I don't get it. But because he's Italian and Columbus was Italian, they're claiming that this is our history. No, that's your history. It's not our history. I just want to make that clear. Let's keep going.
Strictly it's our history as an Italian American. I have rights too. You know, I worked 80 years of my life.
So he has rights. Translation, I have a right to want a man that committed genocide to have a statue. I have rights. All right, let's keep going. Now we're switching to Newark, New Jersey, right? The statue in Newark, New Jersey, this is a Columbus statue here in Newark, New Jersey, right? Newark, New Jersey is a predominantly Black and 10-tribe town. A lot of Blacks, a lot of Mexicans, a lot of Dominicans. So obviously this is why this statue in Newark got removed. The one in Nutley did not get removed. But the one in Newark, New Jersey, where we have Passover, that was removed. This statue was right across the street from where I worked. I used to see it every day.
In Newark, city workers there were instructed to take down the statue of Christopher Columbus from Washington Park. The mayor there saying the removal of that statue should not be perceived as an insult to the Italian American community. Rather, it's a statement against the enslavement and oppression that this explorer represents. Back here live in Nutley, you can see this face-off happening right now live in front of that Christopher Columbus statue, as well as right in front of the police department. Again, you've got one group chanting Black Lives Matter, the other saying All Lives Matter and USA. There are several police officers.
Why would you be chanting USA? Because you guys are having a disagreement about a Christopher Columbus statue. Christopher Columbus never made it to America. He's not American. Why are you chanting USA? This place is finished. It's cooked. It's over with. It's over with, y'all. We're just watching. We're just sitting back, proverbially eating the popcorn. This place is finished. It's over.
Here, both groups so far have promised to remain peaceful. We're live in Nutley, New Jersey. Jessica Layton, CBS 2 News.
And here we have yet another statue being removed. Go back. For those of y'all that are perceptive, you guys can see the spray paint right there. This statue has been being defaced too. I really want y'all to meditate on what you guys are witnessing. You're witnessing the downfall of your enemy, but it's incremental. It's not some grand. When Yahweh comes, that's going to be the grand thing where you're going to. But in increments, you're watching the fall of your enemies. With small stuff like this, I don't know if we really appreciate what we're looking at. This is the fall of your enemies. Look at all this, the red paint on this. That's people going up there and spray painting it. That's what that is. This is why they're getting rid of it. It's not because they love you. That's what I gotta keep saying that. And this is the Italians. They're mad about it. This is the decadence. It's the divide. Praise the Lord.
You come down to New York Avenue. You come down to New York Avenue.
I love it. Just because he's mad, I love it. Look at the hands. Y'all see that? This is because the people during the age of decadence, you have access to the internet information. People have realized who this man really was, and they've been jacking these statues up. That's what they've been doing. Salaki, give me 1 second. Let me bring Elazar back in. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Because guess what, guys? Not only is it Columbus, I did a lot of focus on Columbus, but actually, he's not the only one that has statues that's being removed. A lot of their tokens of their joyfulness is being removed. Somebody come look at this.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. This is a look at workers removing the Johnny Reb statue this morning that sat on top of an 80-foot Confederate monument in downtown Norfolk, Virginia. The mayor says the statue... I
want to go back. Sorry, y'all. I want to go back just a little bit because I want you guys to look right here. Boom. You guys see all the graffiti? That's the people defacing the statue, just like they were doing for Columbus. That's the people defacing these statues. This is the decadence that we're seeing. People waking up and saying, hey, you know what? These guys were devils. This is the wicked being revealed. Like it said in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. These guys were devils.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. This is a look at workers removing the Johnny Reb statue this morning that sat on top of an 80-foot Confederate monument in downtown Norfolk, Virginia. The mayor says the statue will be relocated out of concern for public safety.
The statue will be what?
Be relocated out of concern for public safety.
So they're not getting rid of it. They're not destroying it. They're just moving it so you can't pour paint on it anymore like we just saw. Look, somebody come look at this. Somebody come look at this.
Downtown Norfolk, Virginia. The mayor says the statue will be relocated.
Boom. That's why it's being relocated, not because they love you. It's because we're doing stuff like this. So they want to relocate it. They love these people. This is tokens of their joyfulness. They don't want to get rid of it. They want to move it to a place where you can't do this anymore. That's what's happening. Look at the right, y'all. Y'all don't see that?
Salakia, a priest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you have this in the PowerPoint too. You have a group in America called the Daughters of the Confederacy. Did you touch on them in this PowerPoint?
I did.
Okay, well, real quick, you're dealing with Columbus, so I don't want to hijack or steer away your train of thought. But in America, they have a group. You can look it up. It's called the Daughters of the Confederacy. And these are women who have their own little league. You see, like how you have the Freemasons and the Eastern Star and the quote unquote benevolent society. And I highly put quotes around the word benevolent, right? They got a group called the Daughters of the Confederacy, right? And they're responsible for putting up a lot of Confederate statues all throughout the South and the Midwest, right? And these men committed heinous crimes. And these women make sure the statues are up, the statues are maintained pristinely, so on and so forth, right? So it's not just only Columbus, but it's also Esau here in this land called America that do the same damn thing. You know what I mean? Priest is touching on Columbus, but if you look here in the Deep South and in the Midwest, there are statues of heinous, barbarian, wicked men who fought to keep slavery alive. And these women are they fight to make sure these statues are preserved in pristine order. So I just wanted to bring that out. I don't know if you was going to touch on that, priest. I just wanted to bring that
literally,
out.
The video I'm playing right now is literally that. We don't move from Columbus now. All the statues in this video is Confederate statues that's being pulled down too. You know what I'm saying? Even though, like you said, those women were maintaining them and stuff like that, and they still are the ones that are still standing. But a lot of those statues were being defaced too. What you're looking at right here is people defacing Confederate statues. That's a Confederate statue. Look at the graffiti right there.
Look at workers removing the Johnny Reb statue this morning that sat on top of an 80-foot Confederate monument in downtown Norfolk, Virginia.
That's a Confederate statue.
The statue will be relocated out of
and the people are dropping paint on these Confederate statues too. So they're removing these statues as well and moving them to someplace where we can't do this anymore. They're going to relocate them. That's what they're doing.
Says the statue will be relocated out of concern for public safety. Protesters across America are tearing down and damaging memorials that they say honors racist figures.
So protesters across America, across the South, are defacing these monuments of these people that they know are racist. Why? Because we have access to information now. We're in the age of decadence. So that's causing people to be like, you know what? To hell with these statues. And it's causing the white folks from the South that love these damn racist devils to be upset. Praise the Lord.
History. Chip Reed is in Richmond, another Virginia city where Confederate monuments are under attack. Chip, good morning to you. I know this has been an issue there for years.
Oh, for a very long time. Of course, Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy. So there are monuments like this one. This one is to Robert E. Lee. All over.
Guys, you got to be perceptive. That's a statue to Robert E. Lee. He was the general of the Confederacy. And you guys see this, the monument is defaced. Look at the graffiti. This is the fall of a kingdom. This is a kingdom falling in front of your eyes because the very, very people within the kingdom are looking and saying, we don't honor these people. To hell with these people. So there's a division within. Everybody see that? Let's keep going.
Over this town, politicians have spent years talking about doing something about it, maybe bringing them down, putting them in a museum, or maybe just adding.
Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? I know I keep stopping it. Did y'all catch that? You got to listen. Listen.
Talking about doing something about it, maybe bringing them down, putting them in a museum.
putting them in a museum, not because they are upset with what Robert E. Lee did or represented, because those are tokens of their joyfulness. No, they just don't want y'all to be able to put graffiti on it no more. That's all. That's it.
Or maybe just adding some context, but this week.
It's like it, man. When they do give us a statue, right? I just text you something. It is hideous, man. Have y'all seen the new Martin Luther King statue in Boston? That thing is disgusting. You can't even make out. You're like, what the hell is this?
Let's go look at it. I know you texted it to me. Let's go. Let's see if we can find it. It's a Martin Luther King statue, and you said in Boston.
Boston. I think it's just weird. So when they do honor us, quote unquote, it's a backhanded, you know what I'm saying, type of disrespect while they saying they honor us, man. It's just horrible. Look at that, priest. You see it?
What in the French?
Exactly.
What is that? What, I can't even make it out. Like, what is that? Oh my goodness! New memorial for MLK and Coretta Scott King to be unveiled. I don't get it. What is the hands holding? What is it? What is that?
Brother, your guess is as good as mine. So when they honor us, this is how they honor us, right? But never in a million years would they do that to a Christopher Columbus, a George Washington. You know what I'm saying? A Confederate. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, here it is. Look at that. Look at that. You see that? I guess this is what it is. No, you can keep talking. I guess they got the 3 buttons right there. This is what it's supposed to be. This right here. You see that?
Brother. My 3-4-year-old son can make a better statue than that of a man and a woman embracing. Come on now. You understand what I'm saying? It's always a asterisk when it comes to us. It's always like, you know what I mean? They never give us our, but hey, we're in captivity, so we can't expect the devil to give us our praise and honor. That's come through, you know what I'm saying, when the Lord lifts us up. So what do we expect? Anyway, go ahead, please.
Wow. That's wild. I didn't even know about that. Water was up. I didn't even know about that. Yeah, crazy. Let's come back to the video. Hold on, y'all. Because it gets better. I need y'all to listen. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere with this. I need y'all to listen. Right?
Some context, but this week protesters said
for you guys that's on Clubhouse, the link to the YouTube is here, so you guys can watch the PowerPoint and you can see the video. Let's go.
We are tired of waiting. Richmond residents celebrated Thursday.
I want y'all to look at the background. Look how much graffiti and defacement is on these damn Confederate monuments. People are tired of this. This is the decadence that we're talking about. This is the beginning of the end of a world empire. And we're actually sitting here with front row seats watching it. A lot of people are in denial about what they're seeing, but it's happening whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
They at the graffiti-covered and long controversial statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
All that down below is hundreds of years in the making. And all the emotion and all the energy and all the passion that created that, it'd be a shame to wipe that away.
Very empowering, not just for black people, for white people as well who want change. You know what I mean?
That call for change has hit the city's monuments hard, with protesters bringing down the statue of Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, and landing Christopher Columbus in a local lake.
Yeah, the people threw the statue. Did y'all see that? The people threw the statue of Columbus in a lake. Let's keep going.
Protesters took action across
Look
the
at that.
country, tearing down memorials to the country's racist history, leading some officials to demand permanent removal.
The American people know these names have to go.
In Congress, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's call to do away with Confederate statues in the halls of the Capitol met with
They have Confederate statues in the halls of the Capitol. Still, Jefferson Davis has a statue in the halls of the Capitol as we speak. For those of y'all that don't know who Jefferson Davis was, he was the president of the Confederacy. Right? Okay.
Republican resistance. A bipartisan proposal advanced in the Senate would begin the process of renaming about 10 military bases that honor Confederate officers.
We have military bases that honor Confederate officers. Still,
President Trump and some Republican allies spoke out in opposition. The purpose was to...
So Donald Trump is opposed to removing these statues. He's opposed to renaming these bases because these are tokens of their joyfulness. That's the point. It's a memorial to what they did.
To erase from history. Erase every person, name, and event not righteous enough.
I want you guys to understand this. I want to go back just a little bit, please. Y'all bear with the priest, right? I want you guys to understand this, right? Donald Trump ran on the platform of getting rid of critical race theory. So this is a contradiction, as we're going to get to it later. They don't want to get rid of certain things in history, but other things in history they want to get rid of. There are certain things in history they don't want to get rid of, like their Confederate forefathers and what they did, like Columbus and what he did. They don't want to get rid of that. But they want to get rid of critical race theory. Let's keep watching.
Some Republican allies spoke out in opposition.
The purpose was to erase from history. Erase every person, name, and event not righteous enough. And to cast those who would object as defenders of the cause of slavery.
Why do we want to name or venerate people who fought to enslave other human beings? That's all we're saying.
Alicia Brooks at the Southern Poverty Law Center has helped identify more than 1,700 Confederate symbols still standing across the country and argues their removal is a powerful symbol.
It's an opportunity for us to move forward and show members of the African American community, we hear you, we understand, we're doing something to be actively anti-racist.
We struggle to deal with this country's tortured racial history.
University of Richmond professor Julian Hafer advised Virginia to remove the memorials.
We only generally tend to come around and discuss this country's racial problems in instances where there's trauma involved. And perhaps we might not be here if we were willing to have these discussions when things seem to be going normally.
The Southern Poverty Law Center says about 140 Confederate symbols have been removed since 2016, and Anthony, that pace is now accelerating greatly.
All right, so you guys get the idea. So now we understand what the tokens of their joyfulness is, meaning that they left behind symbols, images, statutes of everything that they did, right? All the ungodly acts that they committed, the statues commemorating it, and they're proud of it. Verse 10, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10, it says, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. But I want to talk about oppressing the poor righteous man. I want you guys to pay attention to this. The video is not playing. I don't know why. It's not allowing me to play it, so we're gonna skip it.
You wanna?
Let's go ahead. You said something, Zab?
Nah, go ahead. I was gonna say something while you try to fix the video. But
so what I was going into in the video, and I don't know why I didn't play because it was playing when I was actually putting this together. There's a guy by the name of George Stinney. Some of you guys don't know who this guy is.
Sad.
He was put to death because he tried to help. There were 3 white girls that was said to have been raped or violated, whatever. He actually was a part of helping to try to solve the problem, and they wound up killing him. George Junius Stinney Jr. was an African-American boy who was wrongfully executed at the age of 14 after being convicted during an unfair trial for the murders of 2 white girls, 11-year-old Betty June Binnicker and 8-year-old Emma Thames in his hometown of Alcaloo, South Carolina. He was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death on a single day, April 1944, and then executed by the electric chair on June 16, 1944, after Governor Olin D. Johnson refused to grant him clemency. This boy actually was trying to help to solve the murder, and they wound up pinning the murder on him, and they executed him. Zab, if you wanted to say something, go ahead.
No, it's all good, brother. It's just that our people, man, we understand that we in captivity, right? So there's so many atrocities. We'll be here forever and a day if we list them one by one, right? And the most important thing is we got to separate ourselves, right? And a lot of people to this day, if we don't teach our children what was done to us in the past, right, we're doomed to forget it. And then we'll make friends with them, and then we'll make it look like, well, you know, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Situations like that when they murdered, that's what they did. They murdered that young man, that little boy, I should say. He's not even a man. They murdered him for trying to help. There's another situation too, Priest. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or if the audience knows. It was like a reformatory school for boys, right? I forgot what state is it, somewhere in the South. Esau locked them in a dormitory, right? I want to say it was like 30 or 40 boys, all Jake, and set it on fire, right? And I think only a handful of them escaped. Locked them in a room, man, and set it on fire. So these atrocities that our people have been through, we have to commemorate them, right? We have to memorialize them, lest we forget, you know what I mean? The wickedness of the enemy. And then we might give them a pass and be like, oh, well, you know, all nations can be saved. And they are brothers, you know. See, they were the ones who did it. They died and they're not here no more. No, they still here to this day. The children of the slave masters are still here to this day. So, yeah, lest we forget. Go ahead, Priest.
No, you're right. The spirit is still here. We see it today. The spirit is still here. This is from the movie Selma 2014. It says, let us not spare the widow, reverence the ancient gray hairs. They don't spare nobody. This is from the movie Selma. It's called Bloody Sunday, right?
The first 10 or 20 Negroes were swept to the ground, screaming, arms and legs flying, packs and bags went skittering across the grassy divider.
And now I'm stopping right there because a lot of times we look at it, it was all of us getting our heads knocked in, the men and the women. So where's this gender divide coming from amongst black people? Like where's it coming from? We all got knocked upside the head, men and women and children. We all got knocked upside our head. What's the point? So this divide is coming from where? This gender divide is not our fight. A lot of our people have bought into it, but it's not our fight.
Those still on their feet retreating. A cheer went up from the white spectators lining the south side of the highway.
Let's move on. This is something called critical race theory. For those that don't know. What is critical race theory? Now, you guys remember, we just saw that Donald Trump does not support these Confederate monuments being torn down. Then we saw in Congress where the congressman that stood up that was talking about we're erasing things from history. He doesn't want to do that until it's time to talk about what they did to us. What they did to us, they don't mind erasing that. So, critical race theory is a conceptual framework developed to understand the relationship between social conceptions of race and ethnicity in the United States, social and political laws, and mass media. CRT, critical race theory, also considers racism to be systematic in various laws and rules, not based only on individuals' prejudices. A lot of times people only focus on an individual being racist, not understanding that the system is racist. That's the idea. And we see that in movies like Selma. We see that when we see congressmen stand up and say, you know what, we don't want to get rid of these Confederate statues. We don't want to get rid of these Columbus statues. We don't. Because this is our history. Why are we hiding our history? Why are we villainizing people that were actually really villains? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? We need to continue to teach that Columbus was a nice guy. He was a great guy. CRT also considers racism to be systematic in various laws and rules, not based only on individuals' prejudices. The word critical in the name is an academic reference to critical theory, not criticizing or blaming individuals. So critical race theory, basically, as taught in a collegiate level, so forth and so on, it speaks about the system being racist. It doesn't really focus on individuals. For an individual, that's called prejudice. If I don't like somebody for, I don't know, how tall they are, how much they weigh, that's a prejudice. That's a personal prejudice against somebody. That's different from a whole system. There's a whole system set in place that's racist. And that's what critical race theory shows on many levels. Real quick, I'm going to come out. I'm kind of deviating. That's what this image right here is all about. Many of you guys don't know about what's called the eugenics tree, right? There's something called the eugenics tree. And you have all these roots. Now, eugenics was created basically as a weapon against our people. I'll just make it real simple. It's a weapon against our people. And all these different roots work in conjunction to destroy our people. Politics, law, statistics, ethnology, anthropology, genetics, which we're going to get into for the last half an hour of class. Genetics, biology, anthropology, psychology, mental testing, geology, archaeology, law, biography, you name it. All these systems work in tandem against our people. So it's the system that's racist. That's what the eugenics tree shows. All those different roots work in tandem. It's the whole system. The whole tree is corrupt. This is Ezekiel 35, verse 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Perpetual means continual. Perpetual hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Perpetual means continuing forever. Let's jump back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. And I want you guys to see this. Somebody look at this.
On Saturday, former President Trump spoke at a rally in South Carolina. And
so Donald Trump spoke at a rally in South Carolina. Let's listen to what he says.
He had this to say about critical race theory.
Getting critical race theory out of our schools is not just a matter of values, it's also a matter of national survival.
Did you guys catch that? The ones that's paying attention, getting rid of critical race theory, which teaches the system is racist, is a matter of national survival, because we are in the age of decadence in this country where the system is starting to fall because information is out there. People are waking up and realizing who and what the enemy actually is. You can't survive if more and more people are waking up to that. So you got to get rid of it. That's the idea. Get rid of it. So he ran on that. We want to get rid of this idea that these Confederates, some of whom we have statues for, some of whom are actually in Washington on Capitol Hill, have statues. We have to get rid of the idea that these people are bad. Get rid of it. Stop teaching that in schools.
On Saturday, former President Trump spoke at a rally in South Carolina, and he had this to say about critical race theory.
Getting critical race theory out of our schools is not just a matter of values, it's also a matter of national survival. We have no choice.
We have no choice. We got to get rid of this truth that's coming out. We got to get rid of it. Keep going, Donald.
Of any nation ultimately depends upon the willingness of its citizens to lay down, and they must do this, lay down their very lives to defend their country.
I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Critical race theory is not taught in public schools.
It sure as hell ain't. But I just wanted you guys to see that. They don't want the idea that the whole system, they want you to focus on individual white people's racism, because that distracts you from the fact that the whole system, the laws, everything that's in place is racist. They want you to focus on individual prejudices. That's what they want to do. Critical race theory focuses on the entire picture. They want to get rid of it. Some of y'all like Donald Trump. So, hey, I want y'all to know that that's how he thinks. Let's move on.
He's a useful servant, priest.
He's a useful servant.
He's a useful servant.
The Bible says that Esau has a perpetual hatred against us, right? So this is an article from Newsweek. Now, I was trying to find, years ago, I saw the video with him actually saying this. That video has been scrubbed from the internet, but all praise to the Most High. The article still lives. Donald Trump says, this is an article from May 25th, 2018. Donald Trump says, our ancestors tamed a continent. What continent? North America. Who was here? The North American Indians and others. And we are not going to apologize for America. They're not sorry that they raped, pillaged, robbed, and murdered. We're not apologizing for that. That's why we got to get rid of critical race theory, because critical race theory actually speaks to that. Hey, this whole system is racist, always has been. No, we got to get rid of that. We don't apologize for what we did. We don't apologize for how we got this country. We don't apologize for slavery. We don't apologize for nothing. They're not sorry. That's why you guys saw earlier that he was against getting rid of those statues. Because they're not sorry. It says President Donald Trump said at a Naval Academy commencement address Friday that our ancestors tamed a continent, adding that we are not going to apologize for America. Let's move on, man. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I want you guys to understand this definition called to acquiesce. Right? There are a lot of Donald Trump's people, his race of people, that know that what they did was wrong, but they say nothing. In law, that's called to acquiesce. They know what they did is wrong, but they'll never say it. And when they're challenged on it, they won't admit it, even though they know it's wrong. Somehow or another, people think that people like that can get some type of salvation. There's no salvation for the nations that do this. There's no salvation for nations that do not speak against what the evil that the white man did. Let's call it what it is. You're trying to save the people that don't even want to acknowledge the atrocities that was done to you. Crazy. Back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, let our strength be the law of justice. In other words, might is right. And they plan on enforcing or forcing you through their might to do their will, their bidding, or else you'll become the target. Let our strength be the law of justice. In other words, it's not actually the law of righteousness. Their law is based on their strength. We just enforce our will. We're going to make you do what it is we want you to do. And the ones of us that don't accept that, you're going to be a target. Verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law. That's what we do. We speak truthfully to people. We don't care about people's feelings. If you go against God's laws, we tell you about yourself. And we're not nice about it. They don't like that. And objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. Yeah, we object to their infamy and the transgressions of their education. What they've done in history and the fact that they hide a lot of things they did in history. They want to get rid of critical race theory. Yeah, we object to that. But really, it's our job to teach our children and not theirs. So we only could be but so mad. You're expecting the enemy in their school system, the educational system, their indoctrination system to teach you the truth about your history. Forget it. That's your job as a man or woman, to teach your children. Verse 13. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he called himself a child of God. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold. They can't stand even seeing us, because seeing us is a constant reminder that they're wicked as hell, they're evil, and they're in sin. They can't even stand to see us. It's the same thing we see in Jeremiah chapter 18. Let's read that real quick. Jeremiah 18, verse 18. Then said they, come, and let us devise devices against Jeremiah. For the law shall not perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor word from the prophet. As long as Jeremiah is around, the law is going to go forth. We're going to get upbraided, like it says in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. We're going to get told about ourselves for offending God's laws. So we need to devise something to get rid of this guy. Get him out the way. For the law shall not perish from the priest, nor the counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophets. Come, and let us smite him with the tongue, and let us not give heed to any of his words. We're not listening to nothing you got to say. Verse 16. We are esteemed of him as impostors. This is the ungodly speaking. Remember, the chapter started off with the ungodly speaking. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. Let's watch the video.
They call themselves Netanyahu, but it's just a stolen name, a Hebrew mask plastered over a European exile's face. His real name was Milikowski.
So Benjamin Netanyahu, his real name is Milikowski. That's his real name. They changed their names to make it seem as though they're the people. They're the Jews, right? But why would you need to change your name for? Just be who you are. Anyway, let's continue.
Born of Ashkenazi lineage from Poland, Benjamin Netanyahu has neither the blood nor the land nor the language of those he claims to represent. His Judaism is not that of the shepherds of Hebron, nor the poets of Jaffa. It is the Judaism of a colonizer from elsewhere who put on the prophet's robe to hide the scent of ashes. Because what he represents today is not a people, it is a machine, a political, military, ideological machine.
So he represents a machine, political and ideological. They're not the people. And everybody knows it. That's also being revealed. These people have no real connection to the ancient Israelites. Everybody's mad at us for calling ourselves Israelites, but nobody speaks about this. These people have no connection. Everybody's scared to say it, except us.
Many of the Jews that today live in the reconstituted state of Israel come from Eastern Europe, are not descendants of the Judeans or the lost tribes of Israel, but rather descendants of the Khazars. Who are they? They were a nation.
Now, I want to go play this again because this is another thing. We as Israelites are being accused, the black Israelites, we're being accused of the ones that's teaching that the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew goes back to the Khazars. I want y'all to understand that that whole idea of the white people in Israel today calling themselves Jews being Khazars comes from other white people, not us. Arthur Koestler and others, not us. I recently saw a video of was it Vocab, somebody on the show, and he tried to say we were the ones that came up with that. Abba Bivens came up with that. Use a lie. You're a liar.
Many of the Jews that today live in the reconstituted state of Israel come from Eastern Europe, are not descendants of the Judeans or the lost tribes of Israel, but rather descendants of the Khazars. Who are they? They were a nation most people do not even know of. He writes, the so-called self-styled Jews in Eastern Europe in modern history cannot legitimately point to a single ancient ancestor who ever set even a foot on the soil of Palestine in the era of Bible history. Research also revealed that the so-called or self-styled Jews in Eastern Europe were never Semites, are not Semites now, nor can they ever be regarded as Semites at any future time by any stretch of the imagination.
So we regard them as counterfeits because they amongst themselves are talking and saying that these people are counterfeits, which we already know. We already knew that. But even amongst themselves, this is a conversation that's going on. These people have no connection to being the ancient Israelites whatsoever. It's all fake. Let's move on.
Current states of Israel, those people whom we love, they are not true Hebrews. This is the reason why their prime minister, who is,
and I want you guys to notice that I'm not playing nobody that's a black Hebrew Israelite talking. Absolutely not. Because we get blamed for this, but we're not the ones really propagating this sort of high level. No, it's not a. I agree though. I know that they're not the Jews. We already know. Let's go back a little bit.
This is the reason why their prime minister, who is a devil, okay, Benjamin Netanyahu, whose real name is Malachowski from Poland. He's Polish, okay. His administration enacted a law a few years ago that it is forbidden for anyone to get a DNA RNA testing. Why? Because they don't want you to know that they're not the original Abrahamic seed. So today's Jews who we love.
Now you guys know why I told y'all that we're going to talk about DNA in a little while. In a little while, we're going to talk about DNA. Let's move on. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to this. He abstaineth from our ways as filthiness. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed. Yeah, we do. We say at the end of the day, the real Jews, which we believe are us, are going to be blessed. Yes. And maketh his boast that God is his father. Listen to this real quick. This is a horrible explanation of what Israelites believe. Horrible, horrible explanation. Listen.
So I think it might be helpful for someone if they're listening and have no idea who these Black Hebrew Israelites are. Could you talk a little bit like what this movement is and like kind of like the basics of what their beliefs are?
Sure. Well, the basics, like if you're just, I would say to summarize it, they are legalists. They believe that in order to be in right standing with God, you have to keep all of the laws of the Old Testament.
That's a lie. That is a lie. Let me explain. All of the laws of the Old Testament do not apply to everyone. There were laws, like in the book of Numbers, chapter 28 and 29, that deal with the Levite priests and sacrifices they make on the holy days. That doesn't apply to everybody. So you don't have to keep all of the law. That's stupid. There are laws about a woman on her menstrual cycle. I, as a man, don't have to keep that. That's stupid. Nobody teaches. This is a horrible explanation. Nobody teaches you got to keep the whole Mosaic law. That's stupid. You got to keep the ones that apply to you. That's what we teach. You have to keep the ones that apply to you. This guy's an idiot.
Sure. Well, the basics, like if you're just
I would say, to summarize it, they are legalists. They believe that in order to be in right standing with God, you have to keep all of the laws of the Old Testament. I'm talking about the dietary laws, the Levitical laws, the high holy days.
A lot of the Levitical laws apply to the priests. You're an idiot. Let's keep going on.
Everything minus sacrifices, which is weird, right? Because if you're going to abide by all the law in the Old Testament, that's part of it. But so a Black Hebrew Israelite believes that you need to keep all of the commandments and statutes and laws that were given in the Old Testament in order to be saved. And so that's hence the title Judaizer, because that's what Paul is preaching to individuals who are trying to subvert the Christian church and trying to tell them that they have to go back to the laws of Moses.
No, Paul is having conversations in the book of Galatians and other books about circumcision. When you go back to previous chapters in the book of Romans, in the book of Galatians, the conversation is about circumcision. It's very, very precise. This guy's an idiot.
Moses in order to be saved. So that's kind of them in a nutshell. Of course, they are very nationalistic in saying that the only people that can make it to heaven are Black, Hispanic, and Native American.
Who teaches that? Who teaches that the only people that's going to be in heaven are Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? There's not one camp, not one that teaches that. This guy is a complete idiot.
To go back to the laws of Moses in order to be saved. So that's kind of them in a nutshell. Of course, they are very nationalistic in saying that the only people that can make it to heaven are Black, Hispanic, and Native American. Everybody else is a child of the devil, and they're not.
Nobody teaches that. Nobody teaches that everybody that's not Black, Hispanic, or Native American is a child of the devil. Nobody teaches that. This guy is making this up as he goes along. The other nations will absolutely be in the kingdom, but will they be on the level of the Israelites? Absolutely not. You can read Isaiah chapter 2. You can read Micah chapter 4. We're not on the same level because you guys got to come to learn from us. So we're not on the same level. Nobody teaches that they won't be there. This guy's lying through his teeth. Let's keep going.
Not going to make it into the kingdom. But that's not all groups. Some groups kind of divert from that a little bit. Some say, well, Gentiles, who they call Gentiles, can be saved, but they have to be saved through Israel. In other words, only we can teach. Only we are the true children of Israel. You guys have to come through us. So basically, in a sense, it kind of makes...
Isn't that what Micah chapter 4 teaches? Ain't that what Isaiah 2 teaches? Of course you got to come to us because you have to come up to the mountain of the Lord and to be taught God's ways. That's what it says. This guy is a whole idiot. I'm getting upset just even listening to him. Let's come back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. Pick it up from verse number 17. Let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Where do we read that? We read that in the Gospels when Christ was being crucified. We literally see this. Yahushua, Jesus Christ, literally experienced verse 18. For if the just man be the son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. This is Matthew 27, starting from verse number 39. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads and saying, Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, same thing we read in verse 18 in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 19. Let us examine him with despitefulness. Matthew 27:41. Likewise also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and the elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. Back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, the middle of verse 19. And torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Back to Matthew 27, the middle of verse 42. If he be the king of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. Back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 20. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. This is Matthew 27, verse 44. It says the thieves also. It's a shameful death. You being crucified next to two other people that are thieves. So somebody on the outside looking in, but like, you got two criminals on either side of you. There must be something wrong with you too. It's shameful. It says that these also which were crucified with him cast the same in his teeth. So Yahushua was actually crucified with people that were actually criminals. That's shameful. Wisdom of Solomon speaks about that. This is Romans 8:16-18. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs. And if heirs of God, then joint heirs with Christ. If so be that we suffer with him. The same way Yahushua, Jesus Christ suffered, we're going to suffer different things as well. And each of our suffering will look different. Suffering just means purifying. It means refinement. We're going to go through certain things that will seem to be shameful, right? But it's a form of purifying ourselves, refining ourselves. So we have to go through those things cheerfully. That's Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiasticus, Sirach chapter 2. Take those things cheerfully. Don't get upset. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean that what you're dealing with is not the truth. It doesn't mean that God is not real. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. Just go through it and come out better on the other end. And as I talk to y'all, I'm talking to myself too. Because I'm going through a lot of stuff right now that you guys can never tell because I don't show you, right? You come out better on the other end. That's what it is. Let's move on. It's Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. It says, this is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life. Anybody that keeps the commandments shall come to life. But such as leave it shall die. Verse 2. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. I want to talk about the light, and I want to talk about being illuminated. This is Psalms 119, verse 105. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So this idea of walking in the light is walking in the word. This idea of being illuminated is walking in the word. That's what it is. It's walking in the word of the Most High. Isaiah 2 and 5. O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord. What is the light of the Lord? The word. That's the idea. It's the commandments. And everybody, it's the law, getting even deeper. And everybody that comes to it and keeps it and endures in it, those are the people that are going to receive life. I'm going to skip this one. Micah 7, verse 8. It says, rejoice not against me, O mine enemy, when I fall. I shall arise when I sit in darkness. The Lord shall be a light unto me. How's the Lord a light unto us? Through his word. That's how we've been able to come back to this word, to this idea of us being Israelites, to keeping his commandments, is through the word. Now, there's a couple more slides here, but I kind of want to change the spirit. So I'm going to end it right there. I'm going to end it right there because I kind of want to go through something else with you guys. Before I do, I want to make sure everybody understood the lesson so far. I could have went a little further. There's more slides here, but I want to stop right there because I think what I'm going to go through for the next 30 minutes is equally important. And I did promise you guys I would. So if you guys were able to follow along with the lesson, put one in the chat, and I'm going to show you guys something. You guys on Clubhouse, y'all might want to click over to YouTube now. I'm going to show you guys some stuff. If the lesson made sense, put one in the chat. A lot of you Israelites, when people come to y'all and say you have to prove you're an Israelite by a DNA test, we're going to have a conversation right now. We're going to have a conversation about that right now. Because there's some things that we need to consider when somebody says that stupidity to you. I'm going to help y'all out.
Excellent scripture, Kaliah, Baruch 4:4. Zechariah, first chapter.
Rob, you off mute. You saying something?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was reading the comments, Salakia.
All right.
Oh, I do want to say, yeah, I never took a 23andMe. I just want to say that. You don't have to come for me, priest. I never took a 23andMe.
I ain't trying to come for you, Elder. All praise to the Most High. All right. So now I'm going to help you guys out with this whole conversation about DNA tests, because some of y'all You're an Israelite, proof you take a DNA test. I'm going to help you a lot. This is going to be a lesson in the academy. So no, I'm not going through the whole PowerPoint. Absolutely not. This is going to be mainly for our camp. Those that want to join our camp, I'm going to give you guys this lesson in the academy. I really just started working on it, but I'm going to give you guys the everybody else here that's not going to do our academy. You don't want to join our camp, but you want to know this stuff. I'm going to give you guys the cliff notes of how we deal with this conversation, right? Because I'm sick of it personally, and yeah, I'm sick of it. So let's go ahead and let's share the screen. Let's go to the next PowerPoint. I saw all the ones there, so you guys understood what it is I was showing you guys. Let's have this conversation now. And I need for you guys to pay attention. I need for you guys to take notes. And for those of y'all that do the academy in the future, I'm going to give you guys this entire lesson. I'm just going to kind of cherry pick through some of the slides and see what I want to show y'all and what I don't, because it's a lot, and I have less than 30 minutes to teach y'all this stuff for now. So the first slide says, do DNA tests determine your nationality? If you listen to a lot of the bobbleheads online that hate Israelites, they tell you yes. They tell you yes. If you want to prove you're an Israelite, you got to do a DNA test. You sound stupid as hell. I said the word hell because there's children listening. I really wanted to say the F word, but I'm being nice. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here's the first thing that I need for all you guys to know. You brothers and sisters need to know the difference between the three main type of DNA tests. You have your Y DNA test. You have your MT DNA test. And you have your autosomal DNA test. A lot of us, see, I ain't just say y'all, a lot of us failed science class when we was in school because science was boring. I'll raise my hand and be the first one to tell you I failed science class. So now I have to circle back and go study this stuff because I failed it because it was boring. God goodness, but it was boring. But now people are hitting us with scientific stuff. So guess what I got to do? I got to go back and I got to study it. So there are three types of DNA tests that are the main ones. The Y DNA test, the MT DNA test, and the autosomal DNA test. Somebody's like, I'm lost already. I don't know that. Y is the father, your paternal DNA test. When you guys watch Maury Povich, when he says, you are not the father, that's a Y DNA test. You're tracing the lineage through the father. As Israelites, if you wanted to do a DNA test to see if you're an Israelite, you should be doing a Y DNA test. I'm not encouraging nobody to do it. I'm just letting y'all know what it is. It's through the father. An MT DNA test, MT is short for mitochondria. An MT DNA test is through your mother. And there's a lot of reasons why you would take a DNA test. If there are a history of certain illnesses or whatever in your family and you want to take a DNA test, you might want to, some people take it because they want to know about a certain history of diseases or illnesses in the family. So they know, right? You want to know if there's a history of, let's say, hypothetically, breast cancer in the women in your family. As a woman, you want to know, is there a history of breast cancer in your family going back? You do an mtDNA test where they would trace that. Right? So there are reasons why some people do it. I'm not saying that it's bad in itself. Nothing is bad in itself. So your Y-DNA test is through your father. Your mtDNA test is through your mother. And autosomal DNA test is through both. All right? Okay, everybody following along? Okay. So the first thing I did was I had a conversation with AI. I already know this stuff. So you guys know when I come to AI, I'm talking to it because I already know. I want to see what it's going to say. So I asked ChatGPT, can a DNA test prove your nationality? Because that is what everybody tells us. If you are Israelite, you should do a DNA test. Okay. Can a DNA test prove your nationality? Let's go ahead and let's build it while we fly. Let's go ahead and put a shape right here because these niggas are stupid. What's that say right there? Let's make it bigger. What does that say right there? No. No. They can't prove your nationality. Does everybody see that? You guys do know how AI works, right? AI draws from the internet, what the information that already exists on the internet, ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, Grok, whatever you use, is drawing from information that already exists on the internet, right? Websites that exist, scientific websites that exist, scientific studies, you name it, it's drawing from everything. That's where you get your answers from. So it's letting you know, hey, you can't prove your nationality by DNA test. So the people that's telling y'all to do that, they don't know what the French toast they talking about. I just want to say that, right? So no, DNA test cannot tell you your nationality. That's a lie. Here's what they can tell you. DNA tests like 23andMe, Ancestry DNA analyze your genetic markers, it analyze your genes, and it estimates how many genes you share with people in a particular geographic location. So you have a lot of people that a population that lives in a specific place, like West Africa, like Northern Europe, like East Asia, and you have genes similar to the people in this location. Your genes kind of match them. That's what it can tell you. Is everybody following along so far? Guess what? This is Isaiah 11, verses 10 through 12. And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. And to it shall the Gentiles seek. These are Israelites. It's going to tell you that. And his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria. That's what you call so-called Eastern Asia. And from Egypt, that's Africa. And from Pathros, that's also Egypt, that's Africa. And from Cush, today you call that Ethiopia. You have Israelites in all these lands. And from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel. The outcast of Israel live in Assyria today. Egypt today, Pathros today, Cush today, Elam today, Shinar today, Hamath, and from the islands of the sea, we're still there today. Remnants of us are still there today. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So no, a DNA test cannot tell you your nationality, but guess what? It can show you that there's a remnant of people with similar DNA to you in all these lands, but Israel is in all these lands. Does everybody see that? Am I by myself? Does everybody see that?
Now, priest, let me ask a silly question, right? Pursuant to Isaiah 11, verses 10 to 12 that you brought out, right? So if the Lord is going to recover them from all these lands, right? Would it safe to say they might look like those people of the land?
Sometimes they'll look like the people too.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to bring
Sometimes they'll even look like, because there's, you know what I'm saying, everywhere Israel goes, you know what we do? We start playing with these other nations. We do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We do that. But some of these people are coming are still Israelites. At the end of the day, when you trace the paternal lineage back, even though they may not look like us no more, because they done been mingling their seed, like Elder said, which is 100% right. There's still Israelites in these places, man.
Now, I say that to revert back to what you said about if you were to do a DNA test, which you eloquently made a point. You can't tell your nationality, but if you were to do it, you're better off doing it through a Y DNA test, right, through the Y chromosome, right? Go ahead, Ken.
Right. The angels in Christ notice. They know who's who. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Some of us don't, especially the ones that are in these lands that are mingle their seed. Some of them are looking like the other nations, like Elder Zob said, it's true. Because some people get kind of mixed up. They see people that's a little light. That in the Israelite movement, I guess, that's not Jake. They want everybody to look like daggone, you know what I'm saying, black as hell. No. That's not how it works. That's how it works. Anyway, let's move on. I have a short amount of time. So I asked ChatGPT the next question, which I already knew the answer to, but I just wanted to ask it. Do these tests take migration into consideration? For example, I may share DNA with people in a particular region, but those people may have at one time migrated to that area from somewhere else. So just because I share DNA with people in, let's say, Nigeria, doesn't mean that my ancestors were always from there. My people may have migrated there at some point, because migrations are true. They're real. People are displaced with war, different things, and you wind up migrating to someplace else. That happens. ChatGPT said, yes. Yes. I want to come down here. DNA tests are strongest at recent ancestry. Let's put an arrow right there. Let's put an arrow right there, because that's important too. And this is just me having conversation with AI, which I already knew this. They're good at recent ancestry. So, meaning when you do a DNA test, if you choose to do one, and it places you having ancestry, I don't know, 40% of your people come from Nigeria. That's recent, within the last 500 years. When we claim to be Israelites, are we talking about recent ancestry or ancient ancestry? The answer is ancient. We don't care about recent ancestry because people move around all the time. So a DNA test cannot tell you who you are because people migrate all the time. I'll leave that there for now. I'm gonna really unpack this in the academy. I'm gonna leave some of these alone. Do you guys know what the Human Genome Project is? If you don't know, and you failed science class, so did I. Here it is.
Thanks for stopping by. Today we are talking about the Human Genome Project. Before we discuss the actual project, I want to define what a genome is. So a genome is the complete set of genes in an organism. In the Human Genome Project, that organism is, of course, the human. There are several scientific techniques that make it possible to start and complete the Human Genome Project. These include DNA sequencing, polymerase chain reaction, and electrophoresis. The Human Genome Project was essentially an international research project to map the entire human genome, every section of DNA in a human cell, which is a lot, 3 billion base pairs, in fact. And they've mapped all of them, which took 13 years to complete. The project determined that there are about 20,500 genes in the human genome. And it also discovered the order and location of these genes. It didn't, however, identify what each gene does, and that research is ongoing and there's still a lot to learn. It continues to be a benefit to society as a massive information source for researchers to draw on and to continue their advances in both science and medicine.
I want you guys to look at that right there. The whole idea of the Human Genome Project is to continue advances in science, and the second one, the main one I want to focus on, medicine. We're going to get to that. All of this stuff revolves around medicine. We're going to get to that. I'm going to skip a lot of slides to get to that because I want you guys to see that. I'll be way more thorough in the academy. Let's watch this video real quick.
On June 16th, 1944, a 14-year-old boy named George Stinney was executed.
So here's where I put the wrong video in here. Sheesh, I was looking for this video earlier. Y'all saw I was looking for it. I'm gonna skip that for now, right? Let's come here. I want you guys to look at this. These are triplets, right? Which means they come from the same sperm, and the egg was split 3 times. Can somebody explain to me why they all have different DNA results? They all come from the same sperm and the same egg, and it's different results. Watch the video, y'all. Watch the video.
We also did another test with you ladies. You were all 99% Europeans, of European descent. That's not a big surprise, but now we're going to get a little bit more specific. This company combines both British and Irish together. And there are slight differences because, Nicole, you're 18% British and Irish. Erica, you're 16% British and Irish. But Jacqueline, you're almost 19% British and Irish. And we found some bigger differences. For example, Nicole, you're 11% French and German. But Erica, you're 22.3% French and German. Wow, that's so weird. According to this, France more. Interesting. Very shocking. It is kind of shocking. And Jacqueline, you're 18% French and German. But there were bigger discrepancies. Yours was twice as much as hers.
I'm surprised though because we
came from the
How is it that one of them is double what the other one is? They come from the same sperm and egg, because this science is not accurate.
The discrepancies, yours was twice as much as hers.
I'm surprised that because we came from the same DNA egg and we have the same DNA.
And we'd like to show you one more result, okay? Again, we noticed some other differences in your Scandinavian descent. So Nicole, 11.4%, Erica, 7.4%, and Jacqueline, 7.4%, Scandinavian. And you were both, all of you actually were 1% Iberian and Balkan. So we found a few discrepancies, and Dr. Travis, what does that say to you when you look at the fact that they're identical triplets? What is your takeaway from these tests?
Well, I'm not a geneticist, but I love the idea of these at-home tests for fun. And hearing about
For fun. What are the DNA tests for? For fun. That's what they're for.
your all's results and the slight disparities, whatever your heritage is, obviously it's wonderful because the three of you are wonderful. But it does make, I think, everyone a little bit curious, right? Where do I come from?
It
Are
kind
the
of
three
makes
of
me
you?
want to look into each sample DNA result and say, okay, what's a little different about me that maybe why I'm 24% or she's 7 and I'm 7 and you're 11? Like, because even now I'll look into it and see maybe why I'm a little different here or there, or maybe not.
Again, what we were really interested
So I just want you guys to see that. I'm gonna go through this more thorough in the academy. Let's go to the next video. Hey, why I want you guys to watch this. This is funny. The white woman done sent, so they have DNA tests for dogs. I don't know if you guys know that. They got DNA tests for dogs. The white woman sent her DNA test into the companies that do DNA tests for dogs, and they found out that she was part pit bull, a bulldog. Let's watch the video. This is crazy.
You're a good girl, Cleo. My sweet dog, Cleo. All her life, I've had no idea what breed she is until maybe now that she reluctantly let me swab her cheek to be sent to geneticist Eleanor Carlson.
We said swab in, they put it on some big fancy machines and read off the string of DNA.
She's a researcher at UMass Medical School and the Broad Institute and runs a lab called Darwin's Ark. Digging into pet DNA science, an industry on track to be worth $723 million by 2030.
So let me explain to y'all. The reason why they have DNA tests with dogs is because there's so much mixing of breeds. People like breeding different dogs together that sometimes you might get a dog and you don't know what breed it is because there's been so much mixing of the breeds. So that's why that science exists. So let's keep watching.
I personally do have concerns about the fact that from a consumer standpoint, you don't always know what you're getting when you work with those companies. There's not a lot of rules in this space. We come here every day.
Let's throw it back to a story we showed you last year. Watch out. When the WBZI team checked up on commercial pet DNA testing companies.
All right, there's one cheek.
We sent a sample from this pet owner's human cheek to a company called DNA My Dog. The results, part bulldog.
Would you see yourself as a bulldog? Some people would agree with that at times, but no.
So she sent her DNA test. She sent her DNA to a dog DNA company, and they researched it and said she part bulldog. We're gonna leave that alone right now. Because time is of the essence. I'm gonna skip a lot of these slides, and I'm gonna come here. We're gonna do this more thorough in the academy. This is a company called GlaxoSmithKline. And they struck a $300 million deal with 23andMe for genetics-driven drug research. This is July 25th of 2018. Let's go ahead and let's put an arrow there. Let's build it while we fly. So the next time I teach this, people's eyes can go right to it. This was July 25th, 2018. So GlaxoSmithKline strikes a $300 million deal with 23andMe for genetics-driven drug research. Now, somebody's saying, okay, Priest, why is that important? I'm glad you asked. I am so glad you asked that. Because, see, we're going to start here. If a lot of y'all don't know, Judah, so-called African Americans, foundational Black Americans, whatever term you use, was the most affected during the pandemic. This is an article from the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. If COVID-19 doesn't discriminate, then why are Black people dying at higher rates? So during the pandemic, I've heard this from many sources, a lot of our people were dying at the highest rates during the pandemic. This is partially why they want your DNA. They're telling you that these DNA tests will tell you who you are. No, they won't. We saw that. No, they won't. They want your DNA. They harvest your DNA because they use the information to do what? To create the vaccines which kill you. Praise the Lord. That's what they do. So you're sitting there thinking, and you're letting people bully you and saying, hey, you need to go get a DNA test to prove you're an Israelite. No, the DNA test is to harvest your genetic information that's going to be used against you later. I'll just leave that right there. So I went back and asked ChatGPT, what's up with that? So the DNA companies like 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, MyHeritage are used to collect your genetic data. You guys see that, right? Then the pharmaceutical companies are used to, guess what? Create pharmaceuticals based on the genetic data that they harvest from the DNA companies. Y'all thought it was just to tell you who you are. No. No. These are the people that collect it, and these are the people that make drugs based on the information, because these companies sell your information to these companies. And then you have companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Farm that fund both the DNA companies and the companies that make the vaccines. They fund both. They're playing both sides of the fence. That's what you have. So you're being told, no, you got to go get a DNA test, and you stupid enough, and I don't want to use that word because some brothers and sisters have done it. I don't want to call you stupid, so I'll take that back. My bad. But I will say some brothers and sisters do it with good intentions. I want to prove and show that I have E1B1A, and I could be an Israelite, whatever. Yes, cool. But that's not really why this exists. This exists for nefarious reasons. Going back to the beginning of the class, the man of sin being revealed. Now we know this. These devils are wicked as hell. Brothers and sisters, if you decide to get a DNA test, can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all read the terms and conditions, please? Like with Ancestry DNA, that tell you that they still own your DNA once you sell it to them, once you give it to them, they own it. And in the blue, if you stop using their services, they can continue to use your information anyway and sell it. Why are they selling it? We just saw it. Because they are using it in pharmaceuticals. Hello? And these are some of the companies that continue to sell the information even when you stop using them. 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, MyHeritage, and Family Tree DNA, just to name a few. I'm going to stop right there. There's a lot more in this PowerPoint. I'm going to stop right there. I just want you guys to see that. I want to give you guys just a base level of information for you guys to deal with when people ask you that stupid thing. Why don't you take a DNA test? For what? Why? We know exactly what they're doing with this. We know exactly why it exists. It doesn't exist for me as an Israelite to find out what my nationality is. No, it exists because they're harvesting your information to sell it. Hello? And I'll leave it there. All right, brothers and sisters, if the class made sense and you guys were able to follow along, put one in the chat. If it didn't make sense, you could put two. I'm pretty sure I'm looking at Mika, who always is the troublemaker. Mika, she probably will put two. You gotta put two. Mika love the white man. She do this. That's her daddy. Isn't that right? Yeah. All praise to Most High. Wow, I got through that at 12 o'clock. Sheesh, I thought I was going to be talking on to like 1 o'clock and like an hour over. But although I did not finish the first PowerPoint, I didn't do that. But I thought that the second half of the class was very important. So I did want you guys to see that. All praise to the Most High. Elder Zahab, you have anything that you want to bring out?
No, I do want to thank my brothers and sisters who made it out to Newark, New Jersey. We had a wonderful time, man. All praises to the Most High, man. That was a beautiful gathering, you know. And yeah, looking forward to doing it again. Thank everybody who made it, and I'm glad everybody made it home safely. And yeah, looking forward to the next High Holy Day. Like the priest always said, like Scripture always said, we don't know how much more of these High Holy Days and gatherings we have. So it would behoove you to come through, make a good effort to come out, you know what I mean, and show love and fellowship with your brothers and sisters, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Psalms 133 was in full effect. And also the people who are not members of Lions of Israel, but they rock with us. You know, they're our guests, our brothers and sisters in Christ. We love y'all too. So thank you for everybody who came out to give honor and glory to the Lord and keep his Passover service. That's it.
Yeah, Passover was amazing. Thank y'all for all that came out. We appreciate y'all. Tomorrow, for those that's doing the academy, tomorrow I'm going to upload the final lesson in this particular academy. Going forward, for anybody else that wants to do the academy, just email us on the email that's going across at the bottom of your screen, and we'll tell you guys how to do it. The academy will be year-round, so you can start at any time and just go at your pace, and that's going to be meted out in the next couple of weeks. So, again, if you want to do the academy in the future, but the academy is strictly going forward for brothers and sisters that want to fellowship and labor with us specifically. That's what it's going to be for, right? Going forward.
So like in certain states too. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to turn you away, but we need boots on the ground in certain states and certain cities. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense that you're in Idaho. You want to join, you could watch videos and, you know, you could support us. We love you, but we need brothers and sisters in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Detroit, Colorado, you know what I mean? Texas areas, those major places. That's where we need boots on the ground. So please hit us up if you're from those regions.
Right. So that's pretty much it. Mika, you know, you said something about Sunday food. You know, I don't care about that. I don't care what you or none of your peoples talk about me on Sunday. I don't care. As a matter of fact, I'm going to dedicate the closing song to you and whatever you talking about on Sunday food, you and your peoples. You know what I'm saying? You can't disprove nothing I said. You know what I'm talking about? Nothing I said because I anyway. Y'all do what y'all do. You know what I'm saying? All praise to the Most High. That's your brother Priest Daniela, representing Lions of Israel, Maccabees TV. If you guys are watching, you have not hit the like button, repent, believe the gospel. We'll see you guys again here next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be the Most High's will. All right. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, so forth and so on. And for the academy, y'all lesson will be uploaded first thing in the morning if it be God's will.
Yes,
and with that,
Salakia, Florida and California too. Yeah, we're looking to branch out to Florida and California. I see you, sisters.
Yes. Florida, California, and Texas are the next places that we're looking to branch out to. We have members there already, so we're going to put a focus on that. And if it be the Most High's will, I'll see you guys again next week. Your opinion to me is irrelevant.
Right now, somebody is hating on you, and you and me is what we gonna tell them. Get it. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and my path is clear. On my purpose, plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and the path is clear. On my purpose, plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what they say about me, cause I know God don't play about me. Rumors don't matter if they aren't true. The reason they mad is cause they aren't you. They aren't blessed, they aren't highly favored. They're just jealous that somebody made it. Words may hurt, but it didn't kill. And you can't break what you didn't build. Use these words as an affirmation. Don't let them distract you from your aspiration. Let the hatred feed your inner beast, but always keep God as your centerpiece. What that mean? You gotta be in B with it. Always. Don't stand for nothing, then you need to sit and watch the real soldiers take a risk. If you relate to this, then homie, make a fist. different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and my path is clear. On my purpose, plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and the path is clear. On my purpose, plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. If the keyboard is crazy and the drum pad is kicking, you can pass me the mic. I'm about to start spitting. Will they love me, feel me, relate to me, lyrically, hate me, despise me, corrupt inside spiritually? It's the times that we're living in. No selling my soul, there's no giving in. I ain't waiting on a Judas purse. Trained till the arms are bulging through the shirts. Get the picture, that's what cameras do. Protect what I own, I got hammers too. Prefer peace and I'm praying on it. Club Shame, let Damon weigh in on it. Use these words as an affirmation. Don't let them distract you from your aspiration. Knowledge and wisdom helps you free yourself, and success will find you, so be yourself. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and my path is clear. On my purpose, plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. I'm in a whole different stratosphere. Vision is sharp and the path is clear. On my purpose, plus I'm eloquent. Your opinion of me is irrelevant. I need y'all to say that every day.